Hello everyone, my name is Joanna, and in my videos I'm trying to encourage everyone who is in emotional pain to start healing process, to start discovering the source of the emotional pain, to learn tools and processes which are helpful to heal this pain, and to start loving themselves. Today, I would like to talk about shame, guilt, and inner critic, because when we experience trauma, we the painful voice in our head is born. We call it inner critic or inner judge, and this painful voice is chasing us all day long and judging our actions, our thoughts, our feelings, our perception. And we are not quite aware of this. Sometimes when it's really, really loud, we can actually identify that this is not okay. This is painful. This voice is hurting us. But most of the time, this voice is quiet and we just feel very bad. We feel sad and we feel guilty most of the time for what we think, feel, and need or want. So, because I also I'm in a process of healing this guilting and shaming voice in my head, I decided to make this video and also encourage other people to heal this, to stop this, and finally be free from this painful thoughts, painful voice in our head. I want to be honest here that while I'm filming this video, I can hear my inner critic talking to me that I should say words differently, or I shouldn't say this thing, or I should this be more professional. All of this shoulds, because our inner critic loves the word should. So whenever you feel, whenever you have this feeling, this you can hear this voice, or you shouldn't have, or you should, you can be almost sure that your critic is talking to you. Before I will tell you what I know about shame from my experience and from my clients' experience, I would like to recommend a very good book wrote by Darlene Lancer. I hope you can see it. The title is Conquering Shame and Codependency. This book is about shame and codependency, and how actually shame is source of our codependent behaviors. So as I said before, everyone at some degree experience feeling of shame, guilt, and is able to hear shaming, guilting voice in the head. So when we are ourselves and we do something with, or have perception, or we will do something, or we say, or we want, or we feel, or we need, which is not according to standards of our family, of our caregivers, which is seen as inappropriate, we get this message that we shouldn't be this way, we shouldn't feel this way, we shouldn't say this thing, and sometimes it might be very painful, shaming approach to us. And that moment when we feel like what we have done, what we've said was really bad and will not get approval for this, we feel ashamed for this thing. And at this moment, the inner critic is born and the perfect self is born. So the perfect self knows how to behave, which is, okay, I cannot express this, I cannot be like this, I have to be different. So we create this false self, the the one which will be accepted, approved, and eventually loved. And the inner critic is born to help us to actually all the time to strive to be perfect self. So the best way to motivate us to be perfect and ideal and get approval and meet all of the standards is to criticizing us and making us feel guilty for what we are doing. Because when we do things, when we feel guilty for what we do, think, want, see, we will accommodate and will be trying to be better. So what we need to understand that this part of us called inner critic sorry, or inner judge was born to help us. It's actually not against us, but it's trying to help us to meet the standards and to be loved. The problem is that with this helper, inner critic, we trying to be perfect, and we are not true to ourselves. We are not expressing our true self because we got this impression that when we are true to ourselves, when we express true self, we will be not approved and will be not accepted and will not get love. So problem with this helper is that we are not expressing true self. We are going farther and farther away from true self. We feel really bad because of this shaming voice. We feel sad, not good enough. We don't have motivation to do anything. We feel guilty for every decision we make. We cannot overcome failures. We are very hypersensitive to mistakes, and we are so afraid of making any mistake. And we are not connected with our intuition. We not inspired. We not able to actually believe in our dreams and pursue our dreams, because whatever we'll do, the critic will tell us that this is wrong and you shouldn't do that, and you should change your mind. The moment you change your mind, you hear the voice, no, it's not okay, you shouldn't feel this way. Also, as in a book, you can read about the shame bonding feelings and needs. For example, when we express need for connection or for significance, very often children likes to show off and get the attention, and they're often shamed for behaving this way. Every time this this feeling will be bound with shame, and every time we will experience that we have this need, the shame will occur as well in us. So my first tip for you, if you are interested in healing shame, guilt, and you really don't want to don't want to hear this painful voice in your head, and which makes you feel guilty and that everything is your fault. My first tip is to recognize how often you can hear this voice, what exactly is this voice telling you, and be aware that this voice is trying to push you to be better. So healing, the one of the methods to heal is to integrate. If you do research how to silence an inner critic, you can get tips and processes which are like suggesting to disconnect, to reject, to show, to be a boss to this critic voice. But from my observation, the better way is to just accept that this is part of you, It exists in you and is trying just to help you. So when I was in the process of healing and discovering the best method to deal with critic, I came up with idea to ask a question to this inner voice. So the question is, how do you want to help me? The moment you ask the question, you break the flow of these thoughts, because now you engage your conscious mind and you ask the question, so your brain is forced to actually give you an answer. And inner critic doesn't have an answer for you. There is no answer. The inner critic is just telling this shameful and painful statements, this all shoulds. There is no answer. So try to ask, when you discover this inner critic voice in your head, and every time you, for example, make a mistake and you feel this painful and cruel thoughts, and you can hear it, just ask it, okay, I can hear you. How do you want to help me? The second thing you can do is validation. You need to validate needs you have and feelings you have, the feelings you experience and the emotions you experience, the needs you have. You need to give yourself permission to need this thing, to feel this way, to experience these emotions. Also, when you make a mistake, you need to give yourself permission to actually make a mistake and learn from the mistake. Long time ago, I've heard from Doreen Virtue. She said very nice thing: mistakes requires correction, not punishment. So with this attitude to mistakes and with this internal validation, okay, I made a mistake. I didn't want to, but it happened. Now I can learn from it, and it requires correction, not punishment, because your inner critic will punish you for not being perfect. So this way you also silence this inner critical voice. Discover which of the emotional human basic needs you feel ashamed of. You feel shame or guilty when you want connection, when you want to feel significant, certain, uncertain, when you want to, when you feel need for contribution. Any emotional need you have, and you feel like, oh, I shouldn't want this thing, I shouldn't feel this way. I shouldn't need to feel that I want to connect and I need love. It's a big sign that you are shamed for this emotional need, and you need to understand that you have a right, like 100% right, to have this need, because you are a human being and this need will not go away. This need has to be met in a healthy way. The third method, healing method, which you can use here is reparenting of the child who was shamed for perception, for need, for feeling, for behavior. You need to talk to yourself the way you would talk to crying, hurt child who needs your compassion, because nothing will heal shame as compassion and as self-compassion, understanding, giving yourself permission to feel this way, to be this way. So reparenting and talking to yourself with a lot of love and compassion for sure will help you to heal shame and guilt. I hope this video was helpful, and I encourage you to heal your shame, to not feel guilty anymore, and to deal with the inner critic and slowly get free from it, so you can actually express your true self, be motivated, and pursue your desires and dreams. Because when you will heal this aspect of you, you will get this emotional freedom, and you will notice how much better you feel. Thank you for watching.